Hey everyone, it is Thursday, and you know what that means in our expert series. It means we bring on Jonathan Twomley. How you doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing great, Michael. Good to see you.
Nice to see you as well. As you know, it's Unemployment Thursday.
Unemployment day.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to talk about that first. That's always part one of our three-part series. So, I looked at the number. I actually put out a video called After Hours yesterday calling for 900, or actually more, it was a hope. And let me explain that first. I believe we're stuck in stimulus purgatory. I believed we needed a number that was so bad. Congress woke up, and I called 900 being bad enough, which would have been like a 30% increase from the week before. And unfortunately, at 853, although 20% worse than the 710 or 720 the week before, I'm just not sure it's bad enough. So,
Well,
what'd
but
you see in
but
the number?
that's the seasonally adjusted number. The actual number of claims though is 900 is like 937.
Oh, I
So
did not see that. So I got it.
yeah,
937. Wow.
so it's seasonally adjusted down to 853. Uh, I actually didn't realize that they seasonally adjusted the unemployment claims numbers. I thought they just seasonally adjusted the unemployment calculation number to try to
Yeah, I didn't know
normalize it.
that either.
Um, but and there was an increase as well in the supplemental program.
Yeah. And
So
continuous claims as well. I mean, it was
and
across the board.
continuing claims have risen for the first time now since I believe August,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Like, yeah.
yeah, they had been going down steadily, but now, and that's because a lot of people. I mean, some people were going back to work, but a lot of people were rolling off on insurance, unemployment insurance, and now with a surge in new claims, it's actually caused the number to rise.
Yeah.
So
It
over the
is
last few weeks,
not
because
good. Yep.
continuing claims only it actually counts everybody who has been on for more than 2 weeks.
Hmm.
That's for more than 1 week.
Yeah.
So
It's got a lag, a week lag at least.
yeah, so anybody who's been on for at least 2 weeks is counted.
Hmm.
And just interestingly enough, anecdotally, my wife lost her job and she has been receiving an unemployment benefit, which suddenly stopped because and we can't figure out why. We're trying to get in touch with the Department of Labor to figure out what it is. But
Hmm.
um, so when I was, there had been some communication about like the difference between my wife's married name and it's yes, but like,
Yeah.
same social security number, same like, you know, first name, maiden name, and then some forms of ID have our last name and some don't. And
Got
like
it.
some flunky in the Department of Labor flagged this as like you have to prove you're the same person. Like same social security number, same first two names. They're really unusual. They're Japanese.
Yeah.
It's not like John Smith,
Yeah.
So, but anyway, the but when I started looking into the issue, it seems is that now we never had any problem with New York, but a lot of people have in terms of just the processing infrastructure.
Hmm.
And when I tried to call them, basically got this message saying, uh, "Everyone here is busy. Call us back. Click." Like that was the automated message. It wasn't even like hold music or anything. It was like too busy. Sorry.
We're
Goodbye.
done trying. Just
Yeah.
click.
So it makes me wonder. Now, obviously, this is a sample size of one.
Hmm.
It does make me wonder whether these numbers are somewhat underreported, because if people are being like bounced off
Yeah.
unemployment and I can totally imagine like there being some kind of directive because the state is going to run out of money, right? Because the
Hmm.
tax collections are down. That it's come on from somewhere saying, hey, if there's anybody on there that's at all like there's any issue, like bounce them, right?
Yeah.
And so, um, and so maybe my wife got flagged,
Yeah.
for that because it was a reason, right? So,
Yeah.
and they haven't responded to any of like we sent all the documentation in, they requested like no response at all. So, I wonder if this is there's got to
Yeah.
be more examples of this out there, which
For
then
sure.
under reflects how many people are actually unemployed. And as we've talked about in the past, once you're not counted
Hmm.
as looking for work or whatever, hey, you're not unemployed anymore, right?
Yeah.
You're just living life. You're not unemployed.
Yeah. You're
So
retired. You got the good
you're retired.
life.
That's right. You're retired. You're just so, uh, and then there was, I mean, this is really horrible, but there's something came up on my Facebook feed this morning as I was getting ready for our meeting,
Uh-huh.
talking about how shoplifting is up because
Yeah.
people are stealing food.
food, like basic. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
people
this,
stealing basic
yeah,
stuff because they've run out of unemployment, and or even if they're getting it, they're not getting enough to
it's not
survive
enough.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, this is the deal. This is the validation week for me. As I talked about last week, I thought it was a dirty number, 3 days, really more like 2 days, easy not to
yeah,
put stuff in the system. So we got validation. It's a really bad number. I missed the seasonally adjusted. So we did hit the 900, 937. Wow, that's crazy. Almost, next thing you know, we'll be at a million, right? We'll be at a
yeah,
million before the end of the year, right? It's probably,
yeah.
it's a mathematical certainty at this point. And you have states underreporting. I talked about that for the first time last week. I'm in California. You're in New York. California has been beleaguered. The system is out of date. We
Yeah.
sent $1 billion supposedly to convicts. I mean, can you believe that? Because the unemployment system was so bad.
Mm.
So it's really, really bad out there, people. And Congress needs to wake up. I just don't know if the headline number of 853 is enough. I really don't.
Yeah, well, I mean, so on the stimulus front, there has been some good news in that with President-elect Biden's encouragement, the Democrats scaled down their ambitions in order to get a bill done, and they did come to a compromise at about $900
Yep,
billion
905. Yep.
which now McConnell is holding up because he wants corporations to get a
Liability.
jail-free card, if they don't take proper precautions. So that's now holding everything up, and kind of all comes down to what is he, the angel of death, or was that what they call him, or
Yeah, it's not good. That's why I
Yeah.
talked about 900 being the headline number. Is we needed something to get the Senate to go, okay, it's bad, right? Because right now they're banking on, hey, there's positive momentum. It's not really that bad. Let's see what happens in January. That's kind of what I'm feeling from afar, right? I'm not sure what they're saying behind closed doors, but that's certainly what it appears to be. I needed that headline, punch him in the nose. I basically needed, what happens in Wall Street, right? When they don't like what the Fed's doing, they throw a conniption and the stock market goes down 1,000 points, right? We needed the unemployment claims to punch, one side of the Congress in the nose and saying, wake up, help these people. Because right now they're not. They're pointing at, again, it's red and blue, right? They're pointing at the blue states going, hey, we're not going to bail you out. Your choices. I'm in California. We're freaking on lockdown again. It's freaking nuts.
Yeah.
But what that means is that decision to go lockdown just means there's going to be more and more pain, more and more unemployment. I don't agree with it, but it ain't my call. It's going to happen. And if you tell people they're not essential and stay home, they can't work. They need to feed themselves, right? Food's a necessity right below water, and they will shoplift, to your point. It is bad out there. And I just don't know if it's enough of a number to get Congress to do something. It's just sad.
Well, listen, another just interesting data point that popped up this morning was that weekly claims. Now, I don't know why, Google chose to put this in my feed.
It's listening to you.
When I searched, I was searching for unemployment claims, but I don't know why this particular data point popped up.
Okay.
But in Iowa, unemployment claims doubled, right? From the previous week.
Wow.
So, and they're the highest they've been since May in Iowa. Now, Iowa is, I know these things because I'm a data geek. Iowa always has amongst the lowest unemployment in the country.
Interesting.
Right? It's very, and it's basically because it's a rural state, basically, right? There's Des Moines. There's not really any major city there, right? So it's very rural and very farm based, and farm economy, the farm economy is what it is. It doesn't tend to fluctuate all that much.
You need people to plant, you need people to
exactly. Yeah. It just doesn't change based on how the economy is doing, because people need food all the time. So Iowa tends to have really low unemployment.
Okay.
So for Iowa to be having this huge spike, it's clearly because something's happening, and I think it's one of those states which I think has been less aggressive about mask wearing and shutdowns and stuff, and now I think it's coming back to bite them. So we're seeing the effect of that. So again, one data point, when I went to see the article, it told me I had already exceeded my limit of articles for that month. They're like, hey, this is the first time I ever clicked on your website, Des
What are you
Moines
doing?
Register. Yeah. What you get a headline and then you've exceeded your limit. Is that it?
Yeah, exactly.
Go to the,
That's funny.
but so I couldn't read any of the article there, but just thought it was interesting to to have it double. Now, obviously, it's a small state. The doubling, maybe it went from 500 to 1,000. We don't know what the number is. But still, doubling is not good.
Doubling is not good. Yeah. So again, if we look at this heading into the end of the year, I'm going to say it again. I think we hit 1 million new claims before the end of 2020.
Well, and listen, the other thing that we have to remind people of is we've got a couple of, I mean, this situation could get messed up really fast in Washington because we have the continuing budget resolution, which has to be, has to go through. And I mean, fortunately, the last few years, this has not become the political football that it was in the last administration, but it still has to get through Congress. They still have to do it. There seems to be a little bit of like horse trading going on around what are you going to give me in return for passing this thing. And so there's that, and then there is not the fiscal cliff, but basically the benefits cliff, where benefits are ending for millions and millions of people if the second stimulus bill doesn't get enacted. And I think that happens at the end of this week or next week.
I think it's the 26th, actually.
Oh, the 26th. Okay.
Yeah,
so
the day after Christmas.
Great
Merry
Christmas present. Yeah. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. It's so if Congress cannot act, then that is going to happen. And that's even if they do get their stuff together quickly in the new year, as you've talked about before, there's going to be a lag. There are going to be people who don't get checks for a while. That is going to reverberate through the economy in the lack of spending, in potentially more businesses going under. And we've already had something like 10,000 businesses go out of business, according to Yelp, during this thing. So,
well, the actual number for 2020, and this is just restaurants, I got this yesterday, is 110,000 restaurants in the country have already 110. What they're expecting is another 10,000 in the next 3 weeks.
So I was off by a factor of 10.
Yeah, that's all. No big deal.
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. It's 110,000 restaurants are no longer in business. And most importantly, 10,000 more in the next 3 weeks. They're just going to claim bankruptcy or just shut down for the, I mean, I would for tax reasons, right? Might as well go try to get that money back in the next tax season. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not, and I can just see, I mean, I live in a cold state. Winter is around the corner. I mean, we've had nights in the 30s.
You had snow flurries yesterday, according to my daughter.
We had snow. Yeah, we actually had, I was a little shocked. I heard from my wife that we had snow. I couldn't see it from my office. And when I got off the subway on my way home, a bunch of cars had there was actually snow accumulated on the cars.
Oh, wow.
So it was like a real snow thing. And I think that the restaurants that have managed to obtain heat lamps, which by the way, you can't buy a heat lamp for love or for money right now.
Yeah.
But the ones that have managed to obtain them, they may be able to make do, but actually, we've had some really bad weather recently, which has been extremely windy and rainy. And those are nights where nobody's going to
no chance
outside to sit outside, no matter what kind of heat lamp you've got. Cold, I think cold and dry, people can probably deal with.
Yeah. You put on the big old trench coat and the jackets, you make a deal of it, right? But cold and wet, not going to happen.
You've got the heat lamp and stuff, but cold and wet. And if we have a cold and wet winter, I mean, that's going to be the death knell for a lot of restaurants, right? So, it's not
good.
It's not good. This is still, we haven't seen the worst of this now.
That's that comment I think is the key for this one. This is a pretty negative interview, but it's reality. And I don't think we've seen the worst of it. That's the takeaway of this episode number 1 for me is and most importantly, Jonathan, you and I have been talking about this coming for 6 to 8 weeks. And now we're in it. We're in the midst of these dark days. And the only way through it is to get through it. And it's just going to suck for several weeks. Yeah. All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I can't wait for topic number 2. Thanks, buddy.